Hello, how's it going? In today's video, I'm covering the Mok'Nathal Uprising and Harbinger of the Legion from Chronicle Volume 2. So let's go! At this point, the Highmaul ogres were pretty down in the dumps. They'd been beaten by the orcs, then they'd been beaten by the Draenor, and the Warsongs continued to embarrass them. It wasn't bloody fair. The Bladespire ogres were a little bit troubled by how pathetic the Highmaul were. Their leader, Imperator Kel'Grok, decided he wasn't going to sit back and watch his ogre influence disappeared completely. He was determined to retain control of Frostfire Ridge, but rather than just strengthen Bladespire's defences, he wanted to expand, and he was pretty sure he had the perfect weapon for the job. After the Gorian Empire fell, the ogre population remained pretty low. To make up for this, Bladespire sorcerers conducted little experiments, creating new creatures. The most promising results came from selective breeding between ogres and enslaved orcs. These creatures were called Mok'Nathal, and forgive me for just using Leoroc's and Rexar's model to represent all of them, but there aren't always models available for stuff that happened before the First War. They had the strength of ogres and the intelligence of orcs. They were kept in chains and bred together to create even more servants. Also, the ogres threatened to kill entire families if even one member rebelled, which is nice. So Kel'Grok unshackled many of these Mok'Nathal and ordered them to make war on the orcs. They rampaged across Frostfire and seized a whole bunch of land from the orcs, resource-rich land, so it was a pretty big deal. Chieftain Gul'Dan called upon the other two Frostfire clans, the Thunderlords and the Whiteclaws, to unite with the Frostwolves against this new threat. And Fenris, as you'd expect, was all like, "Bugger off, Dad. We don't need your help, you knob." That's no way to talk to your dad. Anyway, Thunderlord orcs raided ogre settlements during nighttime, slaughtering young and old alike. But the Whiteclaws did accept this call for unity, so Gul'Dan was declared leader of this joint army. He named Gnar and Juratan his lieutenants, and they set out to fight the Bladespires. Truth be told, they didn't actually win any decisive victories, but they did manage to capture a number of Mok'Nathal as well as their elder, Leoroc's. When Gul'Dan met with Leoroc's, he was a little bit surprised at how forthcoming he was. Gul'Dan had always assumed the half-breeds served the ogres willingly. Turns out they didn't, and they were just scared that their families would be executed. Leoroc's and Gul'Dan had a nice little conversation, and eventually agreed to help each other destroy the Bladespires forever. Leoroc's returned to Bladespire Hold and incited open rebellion amongst the other Mok'Nathal. The other half-breeds were like, yeah, alright, and they set fire to the stronghold. Whilst the smoke billowed out into the sky, Gul'Dan and his army smashed into the ogres' outer defences. This battle went on for an entire day before the ogres were driven away. In the heart of the fortress, Leoroc strangled Kel'Grok with the very same chains he'd been shackled with for most of his life. Bit of poetic justice there. Nice. Although the orcs had been victorious, they'd lost many Frostwolves and Whiteclaws in the process. Gnar died too. He sacrificed his life helping many young half-breeds escape. Gul'Dan's heart was broken. Juratan was still around, but the loss of his second son was something he'd never really recover from. Gul'Dan did offer Leoroc's and his people land in Frostfire to make a new home, but the elder Mok'Nathal rejected this offer. He knew deep down the orcs would never truly accept half-breeds, so they buggered off and settled in a remote corner of Gorgrond. They disavowed fighting and swore only to take up arms in defence of their lands. Meanwhile, thanks to Talgath's info, kil'jaeden saw an opportunity to manipulate the orcs. They were superstitious and spiritual. They could use that and trick the orcs into enacting vengeance on the Draenor before joining the Legion. And Talgath was bloody furious. He urged kil'jaeden to reconsider. He literally just spent thousands of years chasing after the Draenor, and now they're just going to let these orc jerks kill them. He'd been looking forward to killing them himself. Kil'jaeden would normally repay such insubordination with death, but he kinda understood where Talgath was coming from, but he still punished him. Basically, he told Talgath to leave Draenor and was like, well, now you get to play no part at all in their deaths, so how'd you like them apples? Kil'jaeden now needed an agent from the orc race to follow his will, someone on the inside that could corrupt the orcs, and he found a pretty suitable candidate. Meet Gul'Dan. He was born with physical weaknesses, and due to the superstitious nature of the clan, he was viewed as an ill omen and eventually exiled. The clan's elder shaman took pity on him and told him to seek out the throne of the elements, where he might find his purpose in life. He didn't immediately go there, because he was a bitter and vengeful sod, but after trying to survive on his own, in the wild for a while, he did eventually go. He didn't really have a choice at this point, as he was at the brink of death. He fell to his knees and cried out for the spirits, "I'll do anything, if you'll just end my bloody suffering." And the spirits answered, by basically saying, sod off. They sensed the darkness and fury in his heart, and they weren't interested. Gul'Dan's sorrow overwhelmed him. At this point, kil'jaeden reached out and whispered in his mind, "Wanna be super awesome powerful?" The pact was simple. Gul'Dan could become like a god and punish all who'd wronged him, and in return, just help the Burning Legion use the orcs to destroy those pesky Draenor. No big deal. Gul'Dan agreed. Of course he did. He had no love for his own people. They'd all been jerks to him his entire life. The Demon Lord taught Gul'Dan the ways of Fel magic, but he took steps to hide these new abilities and the physical changes that Fel made to Gul'Dan so as not to draw attention. Gul'Dan loved every second of it, and so was born the first Orc Warlock. And we're leaving it there! Fantastic! We're getting into it now. We are a decade away from the Dark Portal, and things are about to get real sad and real dark. In the next Volume 2 video, we'll see the blighting of Draenor, and then another orc is going to get manipulated into helping the Legion. If you enjoyed this video, press the like button. Also, you can subscribe if you want. But all that's left to say is, thanks very much for watching, and see ya!